these agreements are promissory. They're commitments that each party makes. They're not contractually binding. They're not contractually binding. They don't annul the contract. But both, you cannot make a promise that you do not have the intent to fulfill. So don't commit to something that you cannot uphold. Such as, for example, Jack and Jill went up the hill and both fell in love. So Jack declared that he wanted to marry Jill in the presence of Uncle Bill. All examples are assumed to be halal, right? So Jill said, "You're suitable. However, I love my hometown. I do not wish to travel." Now, if he promises that he won't, he is morally bound by that, because this is a promise that another's action is made on the basis of. In general, the ruling on promises have two parts: making the promise and keeping the promise. In general, if, let's say, someone random from the Alwan clan said, "I'll come and help you move tomorrow," you cannot make the promise unless you have the firm commitment to fulfill. But actually fulfilling the promise is a sunnah, because you may have work responsibilities and other things may come up that may prevent you from being able to fulfill the promise. So that's in general. But if you make a promise that another's significant, or materially significant action or life significant action was dependent upon, then such a promise is morally binding to fulfill as well. You go to a baker and said, if you were to bake me 1,000 croissants, I'll buy them from you tomorrow morning for $2,500. So they stayed up all night and all morning making the croissant, but there's no contract. But that's a promise that you are morally bound to keep, and actually in the fatwa, certainly in later scholarship, is that you could be taken to court for that promise too. Right? Because there's a materially significant action based on that. Now, there's a moral duty to fulfill. So this can be linked to the right of divorce, both for the woman but also for the husband, because divorce can carry a stigma. But the husband could stipulate, for example, that he does not wish, let's say Jack and Jill were living in Turkey, but Jack doesn't want to come back to Canada. For whatever reason, it's his life, it's his choices. Jack and Jill got married, and he says, look, on agreement that we will remain in Turkey or wherever, we will remain in Punjab. And if you at any point decide to move back to Canada, I will exercise, it's my prerogative to exercise the right of divorce. Now, technically, he could divorce her anyways, but the reason he may choose to do this is so that people don't rebuke him. Why did you divorce her? Well, I made it clear in our agreement that I did not wish to leave Canada for, or whichever country. So it can be linked to the right of divorce. And there's a fourth benefit of agreements, which is to clarify expectations and give a basis for restoring agreements. And you could have loads of things. You could have loads of things. But it's best not to be frivolous. Right? So Zubayr and Zubaydah is really into fitness, so she says, you will exercise at least 5 days a week. Otherwise, and she connects it to the right of divorce. That's a bit drastic because, we want to facilitate agreement, not trigger reasons for further argument.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.